All right, welcome to another episode of End Hype Live. I have my boy Alex here, and we're going to talk about one of those things that everybody loves so much, and so much mystery around it. And we're going to use science to beat back magic to reveal truth, the truth, right?
It'll set you free, baby. It'll set you free.
But before we get into it, before I start prying Alex for those gems, for that golden nuggets, like a little housekeeping, right? So we can get more attention on expert guests like Alex, so I can get new expert guests to come on End Hype and solve your problems, answer your questions. We got to grow, and we grow by sharing this out. So share this in your feed. If you're listening to this on the podcast, give us a little rating and review. This is my shameless plug to you. Let's grow the End Hype movement, and let's get on with it. So, Alex, what's up, my man?
Dude, I'm super pumped to be on End Hype again. It's been almost a year.
Yeah. Well, we've gone through a complete evolution of this journey with the help of some of our friends, and I don't know, we talk a lot, and I was like, well, we know each other way better now, so I got to bring you on to this new platform, live, and what we do was cutting everything up and posting it all over the internet. So I was like, I got to spread the good news.
That's the true message of being an evangelicalist. That's how you say that word, evangelicalist.
Yeah. But so for the three people in my audience that don't know about you, right, that haven't heard me harp about Hidden Falls Media or Alex, or aren't a member of the groups that we're co-members of. Sure. What's the story of Alex? What's the deal?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of Hidden Falls Media. We're a neuromarketing agency. So we take neuroscience and psychology research, look how that applies to consumer behavior, and then we filter that into digital marketing campaigns, websites, copy, imagery, videos, anything that your brand or your business can touch online. We help with that process. It even goes into things like sensory marketing, where we look at the actual packaging and product design and what gets put inside of an e-commerce bag when it gets shipped to you, all the way through that entire process of the customer journey. We really love to focus and help with that. And that's really how and what we run with. But before that, my background is actually in psychology and neuroscience. I had a near-death experience that pulled me out of the medical field and really kind of shaped my life. I was chasing that experience again for years, what it felt like. And I ended up getting a hold of flotation therapy. I tried psychedelics. I tried cryotherapy. I was trying, meditation, and nothing really clicked like float therapy did. So I got into float therapy, found out that I really liked it. And I actually needed a job there because fresh out of college, dropped out of med school to just not do it. And then went down this path, started doing digital marketing for the Float Center. Within 18 months, brought them up to $1 million valuation. It was 2.2 within 18 months. And then after that, I was still making minimum wage as I was managing both Float Centers, 8 employees, doing all the digital marketing, payroll. It was everything, right? I was COO, but getting paid $825. And there were these 3 hot blondes that worked there that the manager and the owner loved. And they were making $13-14 an hour and literally just showing up, clocking in and clocking out. So I reached my breaking point, like many entrepreneurs do along their journey of, kind of screw this, and I'm going to go do this on my own. I got ballsy and said, well, I need to learn sales first. And I wasn't fully ready to take the entrepreneurial leap. So I did door-to-door sales for 3.5 weeks, got run off the road by a car. Called my manager at the time. I was like, yo, my glasses are broken. My phone screen's cracked. I can't submit orders. Like, I'm lucky I was even able to get a call to you, and it's pouring rain. And the guy that was my partner is 4.5 blocks that way, and he's not answering his phone. What do I do? He said, just keep knocking doors, son. You'll figure it out.
Come on.
Yeah, just
here's all.
Yeah, just keep knocking doors. You'll get some sales, and you'll figure out how to make the win happen. That's what I did. I kept knocking doors. I was covered in mud. I made a joke out of it. I was like, yeah, my boss is still out here telling me to crack the whip. So I'm still out here knocking on your door, trying to see if I can see your green energy bill, right? And try to see if we can get you off of those dinosaur bones and into some solar rays. So,
oh my God.
after that experience, I came home, me and my girlfriend had a conversation, and we just decided we have to go all in on this. Like, this is really what I'm meant to be doing. I love the psychology and the neuroscience of marketing. I love getting to help grow businesses to where they're successful online and they get to live their entrepreneurial journey. That's what I live for, man. I live for making people's dreams come true.
Hell yeah, I love that. So what I hear in that is I hear a lot of resonance with the end hype movement, right? I hear a lot of resonance with our brilliant misfit tribe, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I was doing the path and I know, like, I got this degree, and then I realized that this degree is just, it's really good for one thing, getting the next degree, right? And you pursued that path because of knowledge and contribution, right? You're thinking, I'm going to get this specialized knowledge, and this is going to allow me to contribute to society at this next level. And then it's not always the case, or it's not always the right fit for us. It wasn't for me, at least. And so I'm like, maybe I'm projecting my experience on to your.
No, that was exactly it. And it really sucks when that awakening really happens and you're like, dude, I've been lied to. And honestly, like, the fact that I went through, everything happens for us, not to us. And I'm super grateful that I went down the path and that I've had the experiences that I've had. But even before I went into the neuroscience field, I had a full ride art scholarship to go for CGI, so computer generated imaging for movies. And I was super pumped and hyped about it, man. Like, it was everything I wanted to do. I was like, man, I get to work with like Transformers and Star Wars level shit. Like, this is awesome. Like, like, me being a nerd and being an anime fan, like, I'm surrounded by pop vinyls of like anime stuff because I love it so much. I think it's amazing what we can do with technology and how it's able to fool the eye and almost play a magic trick on us. And my girlfriend at the time was like, nah, like you really don't want to do that. Like, I'm going to Ohio State. Like, you're great at science. Like, you've got good academics. Why in the world would you throw it away for art? And then that got into my mom's ear and my grandparents' ear. And they're like, absolutely not. You're not going down this path. There's no future for you in it. And me being the typical entrepreneur at heart that was super spiteful, when you tell me I can't do something, that's the clear path forward that I'm just going to steamroll everybody that says that.
You're like, yeah, I got to do it.
You're going to test me and I'm going to beat you.
But like, this is the story that I hear so frequently, is like, I went down this path. I was hoodwinked. I tasted, I tried. And I love the door-to-door sales piece of this because, one, is great experience. Everybody should have the door slammed in their face a couple times, right? But you know, everybody arrives at entrepreneurship in a different place. But the people with stories like that seem to be more motivated, more like actualized, right? Hey, I'm doing this because I don't have another avenue. I'm doing this because I want to do it. I need to do it. Like, I need to, like, in here and up here, right? But not, you know, like, my cousin is an entrepreneur and he's pretty successful, so I thought I would stab at it. And that shit never seems to work out for anybody.
Oh, dude, and it wasn't until I had a conversation with my mom about a year ago, and she was like, you know, there's part of me that always knew you would go down this path. Because I remember doing this, like, as a little kid, I was the one shoveling driveways and mowing yards like a lot of other little kids do. But then I started to learn magic as a young kid because, I mean, why not, right? Like, that shit's cool. And sleight of hand's awesome. But I remember printing out business cards and flyers using Microsoft Word and going around and delivering them in a 4-block radius around my house and shoving them in mailboxes, charging $5 for me to come to a private magic show on your front porch for 3 tricks. And she reminded me of that. I was like, holy shit, like, I actually did do that. And it actually worked. Like, I had quite a few people call my mom's house, and this is like landline level, like there was no cell phone. So they would call my mom's house. She would write down, be like, all right, these are the addresses. Like, they said they'd give you $5 when you got there. And it's like, dude, this is awesome. And something in me transitioned and lost that when I was probably like from 14 to 20 something. Right. And then it really started to get rekindled.
Yeah. Cause you get sold the path. Like, hey, I've got I've got the path, right? I've got the formula, and it's do these things. And then you do those things, and you realize like, oh, the people that told me that they're unhappy and that hasn't really worked out for them either. So now I got to do my own thing. And like, this is a great segue is so now you have Hidden Falls Media. You're combining different things that you've tried, tasted, and learned. And you've really like upped the game here with incorporating neuroscience and psychology into marketing. So like I've seen some of your copy and your landing pages, and you hit like on a totally different level than somebody who's just saying, hey, like, buy my shit, this is kind of cool. So can you give us like give the audience a couple of insights on that? Like, what is it? What's a good example of that? I know I want to pull out some tips on story from you too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just kind of being fully honest, I'm at a weird spot with digital marketing. I'm so frustrated with my industry and frustrated with people inside of it because it's filled with nothing but false promises for so many people because they're not willing to have the hard conversation of what comes first and what needs to happen and in what order. Instead, they want to focus on, the top of the line funnel. Hey, I ran this ad and got a 50x ROS, or return on ad spend, for those of you that don't know that acronym. And it's so frustrating when I see that because it eliminates all the other elements. It's like telling a chef, like, they only get to show the one dish they know how to make. And it's like, if that's the only dish you know how to make, are you really a chef? Yeah. And for me, like, it forced me to go back, and I had a lot of conversations with people that are really high up in the digital marketing space, people that are running multi-billion-dollar brands. And the conversation that we had with them is, we have to start talking about the things that people are afraid to talk about with it. We have to start talking about the importance of copy. We have to start talking about the fact that, our job is to eliminate friction more than anything else inside of a business, right? And start working through the fact that when you do marketing, it's really a game of business development. And if you're not working on business development at the same time you're doing your marketing, all of it's going to flop and you're going to burn the boat down in the process. Like, there's so much of this that's happening simultaneously, and none of these conversations are happening.
Yeah, I love that, because whenever I talk to somebody about launching a product or growing their product line, their first thoughts, and this is why I'm positioning against this, is their first thoughts are, I don't know some secret trick to running Facebook ads. There must be another funnel that I need to buy, or another funnel like software that's going to unlock all the sales, or there's the 37th email sequence that I'm going to try that's going to crack the code. And I'm like, dude, no. Or like, hey, I've got to like, do, some gray hat stuff or some like really shady stuff. And like, there's a trick. Everybody knows a trick, and I don't know the trick. And I'm like, I mean, we talked to like the guy that founded digitalmarketer.com, and he's just like, I send millions of emails a day, and here's how we did it. And you're like, that sounds really simple, but how do you get people to give them the value where you start collecting email addresses in the hundreds of thousands a month in his case? And it's definitely not like I'm running a 6 or 7 ROAS, Facebook ad. Like, there's no, you know what I'm saying? It's like, right. People are sold these bill of goods. They're sold tactics instead of strategies. And I see the stuff that you're doing, and it's like you're making them a complete business or a complete person, versus just saying, oh, I'll run ads for you and charge you 20% on ad spend.
Yeah.
Fees.
That came from personal experience. And it's not that I started out that way. It's that I flipped my mindset that way after I nearly cost somebody her livelihood. And at that point in time, it really kind of shook me of like, oh shit, like, there's way more power and authority here than what I ever imagined. Right. So the very first year I started doing digital marketing on my own, I had one of my biggest ROAS wins. We took a $1,500 ad spend over Black Friday to a super hot audience that she had amazing conversions on, and turned it into over $500,000 in sales over Black Friday through Cyber Monday. It sounds great on the surface, right? With all this money, she was able to pay off her car, pay off her house, put her kids through college all the way, no extra expenses, right? And she still had enough money to re-up, paying her employees, and get everything where she needed it to be. I broke her distribution system. I got her fired from her distributor.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you're like, well, shit, like there's a lot more, right? It's not something you ever think about until you're in that spot of what happens if I actually over deliver results.
Yep.
And doctors think about that all the time, right? Like I have to deliver the exact amount of medicine into this business to make it grow, or the exact amount of medicine into this person. Otherwise I could kill them, or I could have totally reverse effects of what's actually happening to them. If they're trying to lose weight and I give them too much, it can make them gain weight. Right. So it's walking that fine line. And I hadn't really learned that lesson until I almost destroyed this woman's business and livelihood because of it.
Yep.
And that's really when I started to quote in the hype. Like we have to put a stop to this. We have to truly get at the root of what marketing is. And it's taken me a while to truly put definitions around it because everybody has a different definition of success. Everybody has a different definition of what marketing or branding is or advertising. And when we started to put our own definition around it and get buy-in from other specific people in the industry that are truly thought leaders, and they're like, yeah, that's absolutely what it is. Now we're making movements. Now we're all starting to unify, and we're going to clear out all the bullshit in the process.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So I've got 2 clients right now, and they've hit that. They actually came in after that has happened to their business. So they just have a killer product. One went viral. The other one just had a really timely product, and they grew so fast that it just crippled their company, operationally. As far as like audience wise and success wise, it looks good, but that's kind of like my piece is like, hey, we're going to do product strategy. What happens if this is massively successful? Do you have the partnerships? Do you have the standard operating procedures? What would happen if you got 100x results? And a lot of the times people are doing stuff themselves, which is amazing. But they haven't built out like a team. They don't have partnerships. They don't know people to connect things. So it's just an oh shit moment, but they're really obsessed with hiring Alex and getting, 20x ad spend.
And they get real frustrated with me when I tell them how far away us spending money on ads is.
Yeah.
Because typically when I walk into a business, the first thing we look at is what we call our digital marketing. And we're going to change the last word of it now because of some of the conversations we have, which is audit, right? We go through all your digital assets and look and see if they are truly serving the purpose of what they're supposed to serve, or if you're trying to over-index on one asset versus another. Great example. Everybody wants their website to be their shining employee, right?
Sure.
But if that's supposed to be your first communication point with your client and your language is talking about a conversion, you didn't warm them up. You didn't talk to them. You didn't have a conversation with them, or talk about your social media. If you want your social media to sell for you and do a lot of that heavy lifting, what are you doing to build the relationships in the audience? Have you put the time, effort, and energy in before we go and run a bunch of paid ads where you don't have your pixel conversions dialed in, you don't have your messaging dialed in, you've never tested creative, you have no idea what human need they're actually driving towards. And if we're going to spend money, it's reckless on our end. We can test with money, but it's reckless.
Yeah, this is why we get along so well, because my primary thesis is that every good business should stand for something, and every good product should facilitate a transformational change. It's a story that we're selling. It's a brand promise to the market that I will help you achieve your goals, whether it's looking cool to your friends or losing weight or whatever it is, right? It's still a promise to the market. And like that story should fuel all of those elements. Like everything should have that as that touchstone. And people are like, what's the coolest email open line? I'm like, the coolest email open line is like that people want to read your email and send it. I mean, that's the coolest one. But I mean, you can get a list for $9 of 1,000 emails that work, but people will unsubscribe unless they're waiting for that email because they get lots of junk email.
Right.
And it's like, they want the trick. Then when you go in and you say like, okay, well, how have we set ourselves up for success? But I think that's why we get along here philosophically, because it's really hard to offer great products and create great offers in the market if you can't connect to the same place that good marketing comes from. And you
Right.
sure as shit can't run really great ads that serve your brand and connect with the right audience if it doesn't all go back to that same place of power, right?
Absolutely. And we turn down clients in business all the time because there's people that just can't wrap their head around that. And all they want is the quick fix. And my conversation with them is if you're looking for marketing to be the pixie dust in your business, you're barking up the wrong tree. It's never going to happen. We can help, we can facilitate, get you to a spot where we can start to sprinkle the magic on there and watch it grow. But dude, you just left your farm unattended for the last 7 years, and now you want to turn it on with a bunch of fertilizer. Like we got to clear the shit out of there first, make it, till it, put in the right nutrients to give us the opportunity for it to grow. And still, even when we plant the seed and water and give it sunshine, there's no guarantee that that specific seed is going to grow unless you put a lot of hooks in the line to test first.
Yeah. So let's give everybody something something tactical that they can try. So you want to talk about story? You want to talk about hooks?
I want to talk about what every business owner should be proficient at.
Okay. All right.
Copywriting.
Oh, okay.
Copywriting is such an important skill that so many people overlook. And it's something where if you can get proficient at copywriting, you don't have to be an expert. You don't even have to be one of the greats. You just got to be good enough to get by with it. Because if you can get good enough to get by, you understand when you go to hire a digital marketer, how you should start to look at the way they're framing the offers, how they're framing the ads. You have a little bit of psychology background at that point to understand what mechanisms you're pulling. Aristotle has the 3 elements of, conversation, persuasion, which is ethos, logos, and pathos. And if you can't wrap your brand or your product around one of those 3, then it all starts to really fall apart and the offer isn't good. Then the copy is not good, right? So if we're hitting on all these pathways within copywriting, as a business owner, your mindset shifts because now you're starting to think about the psychology of your end consumer. You're starting to think about what habits they fall into, what products do they already use, where is their attention at already? And you can really get a good idea of this. And a lot of copywriting, and you'll love this, starts with really good research. The best copywriters are actually great researchers and they know where to look for good information. And then from there, we can start to craft logic and stories and get into the fun stuff that everybody loves to talk about, right? Like you even brought up, like, do we want to get into story? It's like we can, but we have to start with the foundation first, which is good copywriting and good research.
Nice. Yeah. When we look at adjacent product opportunities, we look at that A to B transformational change, we realize like our product is just kind of a little tiny rock in a mountain of things that are required to achieve that change. And then you look at this and say, these could be my competitors, they could be my obstacles, but I should look at them and say, this is part of the ecosystem that this person's going to rely on to achieve this. And if I start looking at where did they come from, where are they going, what else do they like, I can get a lot of inspiration for things that I should be providing, but also like, how does an effective campaign work, or what does an effective landing page look like, or what is a good story, or what does good copy look like in that market? Because I know, hey, well, really good customers are coming from this place, another large mature company, and I know that most of my customers really enjoy this company, and so whatever they're doing is working. And if I look at and I form an ecosystem of 10, 20 other businesses that are around my business in that world, and they all have certain flavors that align with my values, my thesis, then it's really easy to base what we do to move forward on that research. Yeah. So I think a lot of people try to do vanilla research, like what is the best version of this? And I'm like, the best version of this is the thing that already works, right? And yeah, so I don't have to like copy the best like X business consultant. I just have to say like, okay, well, somebody might also want to build Shopify pages or do Kickstarter launches, or they might want to run ads. Like, who in this whole space helps out my customer, and who's doing a really good job of putting out content and writing and putting out ads or creating imagery or creating videos, and I can make a list, and that really informs a lot. It also informs like partnerships that you can form in the market, and like other things that you should be doing, and how to target people and all that good stuff. But I think, again, people are just obsessed with like pinpointing a tactic and trying to over index on a single point. So we call it point optimization instead of system optimization. And it's just garbage. It never works. So
Yeah. I mean, we just did a trial on what we call a soft offer. So it's what we've got going on tomorrow. I did it all without a funnel or a landing page.
Yeah.
I did it all inside of a Google Doc. The only thing that's actual like landing page is the payment portal, right? And just to verify like, hey, you're actually buying this and this is what you're getting, right? It's our bill of goods exchanged. But outside of that, all my selling was done through a Google Doc, which is really strange for a lot of people to think about. But it was truly at a point of I don't need all these fancy bells and whistles. You just need a good offer with a good message to the right people.
Yep. All of my sculpture products, and we launched them, we did exactly that. Instagram post to a Google form, and people filled it out, and it said like, if you fill this out, I'm going to send you an invoice, and that was it. And like, got a ton of people signed up, and then cut the sheet, sent the invoices, and then told everybody else, hey, be faster next time. And it's like, I mean, that's a 6-figure launch, right? It's like, does it have to be more complicated than that? I mean, it was a hell of a lot more complicated than that. It's just that everything else was in getting people prepped, right? And making a really awesome product. But like, everybody's obsessed with making shit products and pushing them with like really smart ads. And I don't know. Yeah, it's like the thing you're doing tomorrow. You were just like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing. I was like, I mean, yeah, okay, no problem.
And that's been the response from a lot of people with this is you've built so much, I've put so much into the piggy bank that I'm now at a spot where I'm able to make minor withdrawals.
Sure.
And that's all I ever want to do. I just want to keep depositing into my environment, deposit into my ecosystem like you were talking about, and provide value along the way, because that's really what's going to move us forward. One of my mentors, Tony Watley, talks about this a lot with me, which is you just have to stay in the fight longer than they do, because they're going to be the ones that flash in the pan. They're going to burn out. They're going to burn like, nitrous, and I want to burn slower, right? I'd much rather be the person that's looking back in 15, 20 years and say, yeah, we grew really fast, but we did it because we took brick by brick, as opposed to trying to lay down massive walls at a time and have the foundation and the structure and the walls all never actually align.
That's awesome, man. I'm like really pumped to show you more about what we're going to be doing at the end of next month, but it's definitely the most complicated marketing campaign that I've ever tried to undertake. And I don't know. I think it's gonna break my audience, but I'm super frustrated with, I know you're frustrated with the state of digital marketing gurus and these courses and programs and all that nonsense. But I'm like, I've been on these platforms and I'm listening to people who are doing business coaching. And I think the only thing that is more ridiculous than digital marketing courses is probably business coaching, or unless I can combine it with like the people that are selling magic and business coaching, which I just learned about the other day. And I don't know. But so like, yeah, you're like, your chi is blocking your money flow. And I was listening to this person. I'm like, this is so awesome. Like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I mean, I'm sure that there's some like reasonable mindset basis to it, but like the whole way that this this person is theoretically successful. At least they pose themselves as successful. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. But my whole point of this show and what I do with Red Blue Collective is to just destroy these fake gurus. It's so annoying to me. But this campaign is to show people, is to walk them through and try to build up that equity, like you're talking about, build up that piggy bank, because I'm just sick of people saying, you know, pay me $20,000 and I'll show you how to launch your product, or pay me $200,000 and I'll show you how to develop your own product. Or there's people out there that they charge you $15,000 to get an ad spot on TV that you can buy for $500, right? And they're very well-known name, right? There's people that charge you $20,000 for a patent that should cost you free, and if you used a professional attorney, it would be $5,000 or $8,000. They charge you $20,000, $30,000 for it. There's like, the market is filled with these crazy people, and I feel like it's my duty, it's your duty to pump out real information so people can take action. And you know, I don't know, there always will be somebody that's willing to pull the trigger on some weird thing, right? But I feel like that's the whole vibe, right? That's the whole thing. That's the end hype movement. But I'm so pumped to I gotta show you more. I don't want to talk too much about it on the podcast.
Okay. But even with those people you're talking about, you think, how in the world did somebody pay them $20,000 to do this? Especially if they were able to do it online. And it comes back to my original conversation. It starts with good copy.
Yeah.
It all starts there.
Yeah. I mean, so like the inventor help corporations, like you can, if you type in, I have an invention in Google, you'll see these companies. And if you spend 2 seconds to look up their complaints, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I've spoken with a dozen or more inventors that have fallen victim to this, because they thought, if I get this company to do it, they're going to make all these introductions and this and this and this. And when I talked to Callie, he said I'd have to do work, right? When I talked to Alex, he said marketing, I was going to have to write copy. I just want him to run an ad, right? So this is why it's all like connecting in my brain, where they're like, if I just contact this company, they said I'm going to get a patent and I'm going to get introductions to industry, and I just have to pay them $20,000. And then they get this like printed fake book with their patent and says patent pending as a picture of the thing. And then it's useless. You just throw it right in the garbage. But you know,
what's the biggest thing that you want to end hype on?
Oh, the biggest thing that I want people to realize that you can start a product-based business with almost no investment. You could start next week if you wanted to. And the only reason that you can't is because you're full of shit.
Mindset.
Yep. I want, you know, that's the adjacent thing. I'm really pumped up about getting rid of the whole VC startup culture, where it's like huge valuations for nonsense businesses that never make money. I'm really into the idea of getting rid of like the fake gurus that say like, I'm going to show you this one simple trick to do this and this and this, because it's not one simple trick. It's like a sequence of many simple like pieces of work, right? And but yeah, in the most part, there's just a lot of tacticians selling. There's people that are selling $19 Udemy courses for $10,000, and they're selling a tactic that takes a weekend to learn, like drop shipping, and it's just endlessly annoying to me. So I don't know. That's we're gonna help people start real businesses. So
I love it.
Tell them where they can learn how to write better copy.
Inside of Fix Your Marketing.
That's right.
And if you're not inside of it, go to Facebook, type in Fix Your Marketing. It's got me with a big blue cheesy banner. It says Fix Your Marketing in white letters. Me sticking a giant flag on top of a mountain, because that's where I want to take everybody inside that group, to the top of the mountain.
Shameless plug. We're both in that group, and it's pretty active. Alex is always dropping some gems in there. So if you're listening to this and you like marketing, even in the sense of I have a message and I want to get it out there, but I don't really want to sell something. If you want to understand persuasion, how people consume information, those kind of fun things, I don't know. We have a lot of fun in that group. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm learning a lot. By no means do I profess to be a guru in any of this. My goal is just to educate people on what I know and what my experience has shown me after spending millions in ad spend and seeing millions in Ross. I've picked up a few things, but by no means am I where I want to be. There's so much. Like I'm still what I consider at the beginning of my copywriting journey, and I've been doing it for 5 years. I'm still at the beginning of my digital marketing journey, and that's been 7. There's so much more. There's so much, and it's so fast, and it changes daily for some of this stuff. But at the end of the day, it all comes back down to understanding human behavior.
Yep.
And it's where it all is. It's all in the behavior.
Yeah. So for anybody that's listening to this and they're, I'm thinking of all these little niches inside of marketing, like, oh, I want to do short form video content marketing, right? That's great. But bring it back to what Alex just said. If you know how to make something that's going to stop you from scrolling, if you know how to do something that is going to be a pattern interrupt, that's going to fixate somebody, that's going to be rewatchable, that has a hook that's shareable, all of those elements, they just go back and you can pick anything. You can say, I want to learn how to write this type of copy better. My captions in Instagram. I want to take better pictures. I want to pick better products, right? Pick better products, make better packaging. We talk about packaging pretty often because I think that is your first real touch point with a customer, and people ship stuff in a garbage box.
You mean a garbage bag?
Yeah. I mean,
my large are, right? I mean, it's just a straight up garbage bag.
Yeah. And it's like, if you want to know how these things work and how to make better decisions on this, it all is going to go back to the psychology. And I mean, copy is a great way to understand how that gets layered onto like a non-in-person touch point with a customer. But yeah, it's going back to basics. I think that copywriting and like, if I could pinpoint that thing even more than sales, I think it's the universal skill across business.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And I wish I would have learned that faster, or I wish I would have had a mentor come and tell me, don't worry about the funnel. Don't worry about website design. Don't worry about all this like that. That's the last 5 to 7% polish. Spend the first few years really getting your mind around copy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you start seeing it embedded in everything else that you do and all the decisions that you make. And you're like, wow, I really understand that this is why the best marketed companies win versus the best products. The best products lose in the market every single day. If you don't believe me, think about the product that you love and think that there's another product that sucks, that you think sucks, that's doing better than it. Or you can go to Amazon and you can sort any product category by the quantity that it's sold and the reviews, right? You can sort it by the reviews, and then you can actually look at the products, and it's demonstrable right there. You're like, that's clearly a better product at a better price, but this one has more 5-star reviews and more sales. Like, why? Like, because somebody is running a PPC campaign, because somebody has made the page better, because somebody made more compelling photos, because somebody put it in a better box. Like, they just outmarketed the shit out of that product versus the other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all those things are copy.
Every time.
Damn, dude. Well, Alex, I don't want to eat up too much of your time. So where is the best place for people to follow what you're up to?
Yeah, I'm going to put the shameless plug in there again for Fix Your Marketing. That's the best place to get a hold of us. It's on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. It's free. It's Fix Your Marketing. You'll see me with a big cheesy blue flag standing up there on top of a mountain with our little icon on it. And it says Fix Your Marketing. that's the best place for you to find us. You can get free help from all of us inside of our agency, whether it's content production, business development, marketing, copy, sales. People like Callie are in there. There's a bunch of amazing entrepreneurs inside of that group. And the community truly is amazing. Somebody will post a question and minutes later, you'll have a super great answer, whether you're just starting out and you're looking at the fundamentals, or whether you're looking for those 1 or 2 word tweaks inside of the copy that you have right now that truly could make a difference. People are in there helping you.
Yeah.
And all I ask is that if you have the expertise, you help them back.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely strongly advise people to join that, because it's growing, and it's been helpful for me. And I don't know, I've been around the block, so
good.
But before I close this out, I give everybody a call to action, really simple call to action. So if you have a question that, if answered, would take your business, take your life to the next level, DM me, right? I'm on pretty much any platform, so don't really worry about that. My name's pretty unique. You'll see it somewhere here on the screen. DM me, ask me that question. If I can't answer it, I will bring on an expert like Alex to talk about that specific thing, right? That's how I come up with these show topics. That's how I reach out into my network and bring people onto the show. So I would appreciate it, but DM me and we'll solve that problem and we'll get to the next level together. So my name is Callie Keene. This is End Hype.